New Ghana Defence Force officers are commissioned by the Commander-in-Chief. The expansion of the Ghana Power and Light Company continues with the commissioning of the state-of-the-art Breeding Hoop Power Station, and the development of the local rice sector continues with the launch of new varieties of rice. We'll have the details of these and other presidential activities in this week's edition of the Diary for the period February 7 to February 13, 2015. I'm Paul McAdam. Customers of the Ghana Power and Light Company will pay less for electricity as the company's expansion continued with the launch of a state-of-the-art power station on the west bank of the Marara. President Ramatar formally announced a reduction in electricity tariffs when he formally declared operational the $35 million Breeding Hoop Power Station on February 9.
GPL has projected that based on fuel prices, it will be able to implement a 10% reduction in electricity costs across the board, starting with the consumption of electricity in March. This reduction in prices will come from a fuel rebate that, according to its license, operates on a quarterly basis.
The facility uses 8.7 megawatt 20V32 generators, the largest Wärtsilä internal combustion engines to be used locally, and also features bulk storage tanks for heavy and light oil, a fully equipped workshop with spares, a new wharf with refueling pipes, feeder systems, a multi-layered firefighting system, flood control systems, a monitoring and control system covering the entire facility, noise mitigation measures, water processing and treatment systems, along with an expanded 69 kV substation and corrosion protection system. The entire West Demerara is now self-sufficient in generation capacity with some 26 megawatts available. The massive investment made by the government to improve the operations of the power company were highlighted by the president. Government has invested in excess of $200 million in the energy sector since taking office in 1992. It is noted that the GPL's capacity exceeds the current levels of demand.
And that has always been a worry. And I hope that we can stay above that demand, because the demand is growing very, very quickly. A reflection of the growing economy in our country with a fast-growing demand, and puts a lot of pressure on us to stay above the demand.
The fact that government has moved to interlink the system for increased redundancy and reliability was also noted.
Something that we wanted to do a very, very long time, so that we can move electricity in different areas at a very quick period of time. I am told now that if you have, let's say something goes down in Berbice, and you want to send electricity from Demerara to Berbice, it used to take 4 or 5 hours before to do that. Now it takes about 10 minutes because of the interconnected system and the new transmission line that we have here.
The main challenge of the provision of cheap, reliable electricity has to be overcome if Guyana is to develop its true potential, the president noted.
The demand for energy will continue to grow as long as our country grows. And if you ask any one of us sitting at cabinet what we think is the main reason that we are not growing at 10% per annum or 12% per annum, I think any one of us or all of us will give you the same answer: need for cheap energy. And this is the direction that we're going into the future, to have renewable energy to generate power.
The Amalia Falls hydropower project remains a priority for government, he added, despite the views of some naysayers.
A lot of work has already gone into it. You would have seen in the press that Norway has already transferred $80 million to the IDB. We have already identified another company to step into the shoe of Blackstone and Site Global. So we are working feverishly to conclude this arrangement so that we hopefully can start construction very soon.
Despite government's decision to reduce fuel prices by some 30%, Many providers of various forms of transportation have not seen it fit to pass on any savings to customers. The president is calling on these providers to do the right thing.
Unfortunately, many of those involved in the transportation sector have not passed on the benefits that they are getting at the pump to the consumer. And I still urge them to do so that our people can benefit.
Fuel prices were reduced at all Guile retailers after international prices for fuel dropped drastically over the last 3 months. International fuel prices have decreased from over $110 per barrel to around 70. On January 20, Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh announced the reduction in prices for fuel sold at the Guile stations and their affiliates as part of government's move to cater for the dramatic drop. With effect from midnight on January 20, Guile began charging $695 per gallon for gasoline compared to $995 previously, a 30% reduction. Diesel is being sold at $694 per gallon compared to $985 previously, also a 30% reduction, and kerosene at $496 per gallon as compared to 850 gallons, a 42% reduction. The president says government remains optimistic that Guyanese can become less dependent on imported fuel in the near future. According to President Ramatar, there is great potential locally for the use of alternative biofuels.
We can develop using our agricultural sector like Gaisuko and even the rice industry to create alcohol, ethanol, so that we can do a mix. And we have the ability to do so because we have a state company in our hand that we can do this mix without affecting anything, and that can also help us in the future.
As Ghana moves to exploit its potential oil and gas reserves, the president opined that it may be more profitable to sell petroleum products overseas and develop sustainable energy resources for local use. Alternative fuels will also be utilized in the production of electricity.
We see the huge possibility in our sugar and rice industry to co-generate power using bagasse, using rice husk. In fact, already we are working towards getting at the level of the government on the initiative of Prime Minister Hines when he visited India. But already I understand there's a private rice mill on the Essequibo coast that has already been importing a gasifier to use any kind of waste, including agricultural waste, wood waste, to try to generate electricity at cheaper costs. And I was just having a chat with the CEO at the table, and he was telling me that GPL produces quite a bit of waste fuel that should not be wasted and should not be thrown away and should not be gotten rid of, but can also be burnt to generate electricity, like in the cogen facilities that Gaisuko has, that these things can work or can be used in substitute for importation of heavy fuel oil. That can help us again to cut down the cost of these fuel that we have.
The energy sector has the potential to be an important revenue earner for the country, the head of state also pointed out.
When you look at the figures of Upper Mazaruni, with 4,000 megawatts capacity in that area alone, you can see that we can become a powerhouse in exporting electricity to other countries, or our neighbors in particular, our neighbor on the south. And that has been recognized not only by us, but by other forces, and recognized even by the IDB. And there's even a talk now of building an arc of linking the electricity sectors from Brazil, Roraima State, through Guyana, through Suriname, through French Guyana, and back again to Suriname, to Brazil on the east. And that can allow us to develop our renewable energy resources, even if we can't consume all of it at the same time. And we will have in excess to export and become a major earner for our society. And this is one of the directions that we will have to go in the near future.
Solar and power will also be used on a much wider scale. The role that science and technology has played in the growth and development of Ghana's rice industry is significant, and President Donald Ramotar pledged government's continued support for the industry's advancement. The president made these remarks as he delivered the feature address to mark the launch of the high-yielding Ghana Rice Development Board's number 14 rice variety and the Maria's Delight aromatic rice at the Ghana International Conference Center on February 11.
Even though we can proudly point to the tremendous gains that we have made in this industry in terms of production and productivity, at the same time we have to recognize that we are a small player in the international market. And we are price takers, as was mentioned just now, that we don't determine international prices. And therefore it means that we have to do things in order to ensure our viability. We have to do things more efficiently in the first instance. And research and development of new varieties is extremely important and vital to the development and the continuity and for the prosperity of the industry as a whole.
The president highlighted the fact that his administration has invested heavily in education over the years, and the Ghana School of Agriculture and government is seeking to provide more scholarships in these areas so as to produce highly qualified individuals. Additionally, he said the administration has been looking at job creation and expansion, especially in the rural areas, and this move will support this venture. The record rice production has resulted in a widening search for even more markets internationally.
And therefore the industry is rooted on very strong grounds, very strong basis, and I can only see it going from strength to strength and becoming, and it has already become one of the most important sectors of the economy, and I see it growing in that regard.
The Burma Rice Research Station has produced several other high-yielding and disease-resistant rice varieties. You're watching The Diary, where we have been recapping the highlights of the country's president's weekly activities. More after the break. The Amalia Fault Hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. Under the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Fall Hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency. The Community Development Initiative Plan, CDP, under the Amerindian Development Fund is a project introduced by the PPPC administration to secure livelihood for the Amerindian villages and hinterland communities. Already 25 communities have received $125 million to embark on agriculture, mining and tourism projects, among several others. Additionally, 161 communities are to benefit in the second phase, which will see $1.3 billion being disbursed. A message from the Government Information Agency.
To ease traffic congestion along the East Bank Highway, which is a critical thoroughfare for accessing the city, plans are afoot to construct a new bypass linkage from Eccles to Diamond. Additionally, the feasibility study for the East Coast East Bank Bypass Road has been completed, and government will be examining how to advance this huge project.
Ghana's crime fighting capacity has been boosted tremendously. A state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, the formation of the country's first ever special weapons and tactical SWAT unit, and institutional strengthening are some aspects of the sector's reforms. Capacity building has played an important role as ranks have received training both locally and overseas to effectively deal with various aspects of crime solving. A message from the Government Information Agency. The Commander-in-Chief commissioned the Joint Services' newest officers on February 10. The newly commissioned Ghana Defence Force officers were urged by Commander-in-Chief President Ramotar to maintain their dignity, integrity and professionalism as he delivered the feature address at their passing on parade at Base Camp Ghana.
Do not allow temptations to take away your dignity, because once that happens, you will never be able to regain it. And I urge you, for your own good, for the good of your family, and for the good name of this important organization, to always maintain your dignity. Professionalism is also extremely important in any society, and any society that has the possibility to develop or have developed. Professionalism plays an important role. And for our own country to advance in every direction, your professionalism will be extremely important. And I urge you always to remember to be professional. And integrity. Integrity is extremely important in a world that we live in today, where material things sometimes seems to be so much in demand and so tempting for people. I urge you, as officers of this great organization, to always keep your integrity. The badge of rank with which you have been invested is a symbol of your authority in this organization. I remind you that with such authority comes responsibility for your actions. You have a sacred duty and an organizational responsibility to act in accordance with the highest standards of professionalism.
Addressing the 18 officers, who included 2 from Belize and 1 from the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force, the President congratulated them and their families for supporting their efforts. President Ramatar also said that the separation from their families and sacrifices made by officers during training are in keeping with the GDF's mantra of country first, family second, and self last.
Your commissioning today is evidence that you possess the leadership skills, physical fitness, mental agility, confidence in your decision-making ability, and sense of responsibility and accountability for those non-commissioned officers and ranks soon to be placed under your command. It is an acknowledgement that you have the necessary attributes that will inspire those under your command to follow you and to carry out your orders and instructions without hesitation.
The new officers were reminded of their duties, particularly as Ghana prepares for general and regional elections.
While you as individual officers and ranks constitutionally are entitled to exercise your individual freedom of choice in casting your ballot, yet as an organization, the Guyana Defense Force will carry out its operational responsibility in accordance with the Constitution and respect for the legitimate outcome of the election. My administration has worked tirelessly to make the Guyana Defense Force the #1 national institution in Guyana. The onus is on the leadership and the officer corps to maintain that tradition and to continue to endear the military to the Guyanese people.
Taking the Best Student Prize, Brazilian Armed Forces Award, and the Venezuelan Armed Forces Award, along with the Sword of Honor, was 999-1 Second Lieutenant Valens Langeler. 999-201 Second Lieutenant Noel August was the first runner-up. Best Student and Best Drill and Best Military Knowledge went to 999-204 Winnet Smart, the only female on the course. The Best Shot and Fitness Awards went to 999-240 Ansel Tench of the Belizean Defense Force. The new officers received their instruments of commission the next day at the presidential complex, along with 9 new warrant officers. They joined more than 596 officers who have been trained locally for the local joint services and the CARICOM states since training began in 1981 at QPOX, Base Camp Stevenson, Temeri. The President signed the Book of Condolence in honor of the late trade union stalwart who passed away this week. The late trade union leader died on February 9 in the United States. Leslie Melville was described by President Ramatar as more than just a trade unionist.
Over the years, particularly in the late 80s, early 90s, we became much closer friends. We worked together during the infancy of FITUG, and we collaborated a lot of work together, traveled some of the countries in different parts together as well. So I became very close to him in that period, and that is a friendship that lasted until his death. The last time I saw him was last September in Washington. When I was there after attending the UN General Assembly, I went to Washington to meet with the Guyanese diaspora, and Leslie Melville was there, and we had a small reunion. And I'm now very, very happy that I did make that trip, because that was the last time I met with him. And now, on reflection, it was practically a farewell and a goodbye visit for us.
The president added that Melville, who would have been 90 in April, was be sorely missed for his tremendous contribution to the local trade union struggle.
He was also at one point in time, along with others like Polydor, some of the conscience of the labor movement and some of the conscience of the country as a whole, I would say, at some points in time. So he will be missed. He made a big contribution, and I think his family and the union that he served so well can be consoled by the fact that he lived a very fruitful and productive life. And that is all that I think he wanted to do to make a contribution.
Leslie Melville was a long-serving member of the trade union movement, serving as General Secretary, Education Officer and Consultant of the Guyana Public Service Trade Union, Principal Assistant Secretary to the Guyana Trades Union Congress, Registrar of the Critchlow Labour College, and as GPSU's representative to the Public Service Appellate Tribunal, along with the Commissioner of the Public Service Commission. He was presented with the Golden Arrowhead of Achievement, AA, and he is survived by his wife, Leila Bibi Melville, and their 4 children, Farrell, Patrick, Jeline, and David. Students from 2 Berbice schools visited the presidential complex. President Ramatar met with students of the Manchester Secondary School and Rose Hall Estate Primary Schools when they visited the presidential complex. The Berbice students and their teachers visited the Office of the President as part of the school's annual trips to Georgetown to mark the upcoming Republic Day celebrations. For many, it was not only their first visit to the capital city and its landmarks, but also a chance to meet the president face to face. More of the diary after this break. The Amalia Fault hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. Under the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Fall hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency. The Community Development Initiative Plan, CDP, under the Amerindian Development Fund is a project introduced by the PPPC administration to secure livelihood for the Amerindian villages and hinterland communities. Already 25 communities have received $125 million to embark on agriculture, mining and tourism projects, among several others. Additionally, 161 communities are to benefit in the second phase, which will see $1.3 billion being disbursed. A message from the Government Information Agency.
Education is a fundamental building block for human development. 22 years ago, only 32% of our children had access to education. Today, education is accessible to every Guyanese child. Some 1,000 new schools have been built or refurbished throughout the country, and university education has expanded with a new campus in Berbice. The achievement of excellence in education is no longer confined to only students in Georgetown. Now, students from other regions are successfully topping the country and the Caribbean. These achievements and investments in education have brought positive recognition for Guyana and Guyanese everywhere. Our country has achieved the Millennium Development Goal of universal primary education. It is therefore not mere coincidence that education receives the largest allocation of the national budget. This is a demonstration of government's commitment to the development of students by preparing them for the future and helping their dreams become reality. Education, flying the flag of excellence as Guyana blooms.
That's all in this week's diary for the period February 7 to February 13, 2015. Before we go, these are some of the highlights. New Ghana Defence Force officers are commissioned by the Commander-in-Chief. The expansion of the Ghana Power and Light Company continues with the commissioning of the state-of-the-art Reading Hope Power Station, and the development of the local rice sector continues with the launch of new varieties of rice. Do join us again for the next program when we will bring you more of the President's activities. I'm Paul McAdam. For more information, contact us via email or visit our website. Thanks for watching us.